Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy MKS. Finally back here with the fourth and final part of whatever this is. Just trying to make sure I put the right number in. I think last time on YouTube I put part 2 when I meant to put part 3. I think. Luckily I noticed and changed it. For what it's worth. I know first world problems, but it was a little mistake of mine. But anyway, today I went to lunch with my mum to her friend's house from some church group or whatever. So that was quite good. But it's taken me ages to get around to uploading this, like as it often does. I've been trying to think of ideas to cover. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it, and I won't waffle too much. And if I can think of any other stories, nice life stories and that kind of thing to tell, I'll try and wait till the end of the video so that if the video is short enough, so it's not too long. Hopefully it's already almost midnight here in the UK, but I tried to put a few different places for, like, I think Facebook has this thing where you can where it says like you're visiting different places. To be honest, it's not that I visited those places, but I want to promote Italian football and soccer and Celtic FC in those places. So I put Major League Soccer and I put a few other places, but I think you can only choose one. But also for the I put a fundraiser, although I'm not really affiliated with the Celtic FC club or with its foundation, but I put that. So I hope they won't mind, actually, if anyone does fundraise for them. It's actually for their benefit, I suppose, and the work they do. But anyway, I try not to waffle. These are ideas number 31 to 40. I hope you'll share them with fans of football or soccer or whatever you want to call it. Some people can even debate what the best word to call it is in the comments. And also, especially Italian soccer or calcio or footy or football, or again, whatever you want to call it, fans and Celtic fans. Or anyone who's kind enough to support a mad YouTuber or a YouTube wannabe. Anyway, so here goes. So number 31, I would love to... I often think of, like, for the number 28 and number 31, I often think of like turning negatives into positives. And because the reason why I love to do that with number 31 or think of positive things from the number 31 is because it's, I suppose, 13 backwards. So it's like if 13 is negative, 31 can be positive. So I hope to transform Italian football, Italian soccer for the better, and also Celtic, who are going through a bit of a rough patch at the moment. And as they say, a friend in need is a friend indeed. On that note, to be honest, I know I did say I want to turn negatives into positives, but it was a bad defeat for Celtic yesterday, technically the day before now, as it's turned midnight. You could say, and also Rangers won their first trophy of the season so far, and hopefully the last. But I'll talk about my nightmare version or vision, or worst nightmares for that kind of thing. Again, I know it's first world problems, but possibly some other time, maybe tomorrow or some other time, where I hope to cover ideas for Monza, AC Monza. But yeah, I hope to transform Italian football and Celtic, Italian soccer and Celtic, as much as possible, to be as successful as possible, to be known around the world, to have academies around the world and sports clubs around the world and things like that, and that kind of thing. Number 32, I dream for people to support content made by SERIE teams, or even the national team, the Italian national team and Celtic. So I hope that will help Italian clubs or even the national team, and Celtic, to raise as much money as possible for their respective teams. So with let's say Sampdoria, Sassuolo and Salernitana, I dream that they will be able to monetize their channels as much as possible, like their YouTube channel, for instance. So if they get as many subscribers as possible, I know you don't get a huge amount of money, but if you had so many subscribers and people watched as many videos as possible, like Celtic videos, for instance, as well, and the SERIE channel, the official SERIE channel, I dream for them to get as many subscribers as possible, preferably up to even 1 billion subscribers. I think that'd be pretty cool. It's probably a pipe dream as ever, but it'll be pretty cool. Maybe I'm being naive as ever, so I'd love to know if people think I'm being naive about that. My voice feels a bit croaky at the moment, but But anyway, I'd love to know if people think I'm being naive, or could they really make money from YouTube? If so, would it be enough to help them to transform their fortunes, or in other words, to make more money, at least to buy even better players and develop the youth and things like that? I'd love to know if you think I'm being naive on that one. I was thinking, for instance, a lot of Celtic songs, especially Jota on the wing. I know Jota's left to go to Saudi Arabia, but I think it'd be cool. I was saying Jota on the wing for Christmas #1 and things like that. So, but I'd love for them to have as many subscribers as possible. I hope on that note people check out the Celtic YouTube channel and check out Jota on the wing and the story behind it as well. And on that note, I hope people support my content as well, especially for Christmas, as I often say, and that kind of thing. Number 33, I hope that does help them as much as possible, and that, again, I hope Celtic can turn things around. Number 34, I was going to say this in point number 31 because I talked about turning negatives into positives, but an idea I've mentioned a few times because I think it's quite an important idea for me personally. I don't want to be self-important or narcissistic or whatever, but I was thinking, what if the markets, and again, maybe I'm being naive, but what if the markets could reward football for peace? So companies like Starbucks, McDonald's, and other such companies that are funding the weapons trade or whatever, or arguably supporting, I want to be as neutral as possible, but some say supporting Israel, and there's a BDS campaign, boycott, divestment, and sanctions. And again, I want to be neutral, so I think any weapons trade, whether that's selling weapons to Hamas or to Hezbollah or to the Houthis or the other H, as I say, or towards anything that's to do with weapons trade for any nations, I think it'd be cool if if companies would divest away from that. So instead, companies like asset managers and whatnot will invest in Italian football and Celtic instead. Obviously, I'm a bit biased in who I would love for them to invest in. And again, Italian teams and Celtic, I mentioned before, could work with FIFA, UEFA, and others. It would hopefully it will improve the image of football, soccer, whatever you call it again, calcio, footy, or whatever. But yeah, maybe I'm being naive, as I say again. But I think it would require the markets, so to speak, and the markets are customers, which pretty much everyone has to buy. Because pretty much everyone has to buy something at some point. So I think that shows that boycotts can work. And this would probably be like the opposite to a boycott. Maybe it could be like Italian soccer fans and Celtic fans together saying, if you invest in Italian football and Celtic, Italian soccer and Celtic or whatever, I'm going on alliterations because it's Sunday, or it was Sunday technically. But again, whatever you want to call it, if you invest in Italian soccer and so-called Celtic, preferably both, then the markets hopefully will reward you. And I often think, like, if you made peace pay, you would see how quick the world would become much more peaceful, in my opinion. But again, you might think I'm being naive. I'd love to know if anyone has alternative views or contrary viewpoints. But it requires, let's say, you, whoever's maybe watching this, to promote that idea, to say, again, I suppose it's the opposite to a boycott in a way, kind of, or it's kind of both a boycott and the opposite to a boycott, because we could boycott those who support the weapons trade or sell weapons or are involved in wars and conflict, and we could support, as a market, people generally could support, as many people as possible could support those who invest in Italian football, soccer, and so-called Celtic, and Italian soccer and Celtic therefore would make peace, which I think, or at least contribute to making peace. Again, I know I mentioned this before, but it reminds me of the biblical teaching, like swords into plowshares, but in this case, weapons into football, or wars into football instead. So they invest in football, soccer, or whatever instead. I hope that all makes sense. But as ever, if you have any questions on any of these points, please fire away. But I'll say that hopefully that would improve the image of football, soccer, whatever, and also calcio, Italian soccer, and Celtic as well, if they encourage peace. And my fear is that the markets or the investors, like the asset managers, wealthy owner, business people, and all that, might punish people who want to make peace, like myself in this case. So they might say, we will divest away from Italian football Celtic because you want to make peace. But I'm hoping that the market will force the hand, kind of, to say, because obviously they want customers. So hopefully, if people will buy from those who invest in Italian soccer and or Celtic FC instead of wars, hopefully that will push companies like Starbucks to invest in Sampdoria, say, for instance. Number 35, on that note, I was struggling to think of something to say for number 35. I know I talked about my goals for football generally, but I was thinking, I can't remember if I mentioned this, I may have done, but when I was in point number 24, but I meant to mention, I did think I forgot to say it, but I may have mentioned it actually, but as it's US Salernitana and US Sassuolo, I think it'd be quite interesting if America, i.e. the US, obviously had its own sovereign wealth fund, just like Saudi Arabia and other nations do, like Abu Dhabi and whatnot, many of the Arab nations, and invested in US Salernitana and US Sassuolo. And on that note, I would love for Italian teams to have connections with, say, Inter Milan could have a connection with Inter Miami, and Atalanta could have a connection with Atlanta, and vice versa, as they sound quite similar. And also the Italian diaspora investing in and donating to and supporting Italian soccer. That could be a good way for them to connect with their diaspora and with their home nation. Again, probably a pipe dream and very naive for me, but I would love for, instead of Italian Americans, say, joining the mafia or things like, or even Italians themselves joining the mafia or things like that, instead, I'd love for them to have a different purpose in life, which would be to help transform Italian soccer and help to transform Italian Celtic as well into the best that they can be. Yeah, I think there was another point I was going to make, but I can't quite remember it, so I'm going to move on. Number 36. I'd love for Italian club owners, Italian club board members, CEOs and whatnot, basically those who own and invest in Italian football teams, even shareholders and whatnot, to talk to fans and connect with them and talk about how they will benefit their teams. So, for instance, Sampdoria owners could talk about their 5 to 10 year vision. I can talk about like 5 to 10 year visions. I think it'd be cool if they talked about their 5 to 10 year vision, how much they plan to invest, how they'll help teams like Sampdoria, Sassuolo, Salernitana, Spezia, and others to become as good as possible, shall we say. And number 37, similar with Celtic, a lot of people are unhappy with the board, and I would love to. I think a lot of people say they're getting bored of the board at the moment, so I would love for the board to come out and say what they're going to do in the next 5 to 10 years to turn things around, to make sure they have the best possible managers, coaches, players and whatnot over time, scouts, directors of football, how they're going to make sure there's less nepotism. Like people say, Peter Lowell is, I can't remember his role, but he's a part of the board, and then a lot of people say he's part of the problem, and then his son, Mark Lowell, he's appointed him in charge of signings, and a lot of things have gone wrong, whereas Celtic should really be a lot better. So I think it'd be cool to hear from the board, the CEO, and all those involved in running the club, all those involved in the club, talking to fans, saying what they're going to do. The players probably coming out and saying, I mean, I suppose it's one thing saying it and another thing taking the action in this case, but if the players talk about playing for the shirt and the badge, playing for their pride, for their honour, like some people say, if the players don't want to be there, they down tools, i.e. don't put in 100% effort and work for the team. But if they do that, then I think they're ruining their legacy. So even if they move to a new club, that attitude to me looks really bad. If I think of a player who does that, I think any player who does that has a poor attitude. So I think a new club should think about that. So if a player's not putting 100% in for, say, Celtic, I think the new clubs might think, do I really want to take a chance on that player? Because if he wants to move from our club, he's going to down tools. He's going to deliberately not play his best. Number 38, on that note, I would love to hear from Italian soccer fans and Celtic fans about what you would like to see, what would be on your Christmas shopping list for your own team, or even for the national team, say in Italy's case. So I'd love to hear what would be, as I say, on your shopping list, talking about connecting with the fans, so Sampdoria fans, Sassuolo fans, Salernitana fans, Spal fans, Spezia fans, and Celtic fans, and other teams from across Italy especially, or even football fans, soccer fans generally, from all over Europe and all over the world, including America. I hope as many people as possible who are into soccer will write in the comments about what your dreams are for your local team. Number 39, on that note, I'd also love to have suggestions on what could improve Italian soccer, Serie A, and the national team. Another point I was going to make before is I think I forgot that point and I've just remembered it, but is when the national team, say the website and the YouTube channel and the social media generally, I dream that could be used. So the F.I.G.C. official website and YouTube channel and social media generally, I dream that could be used to monetize, to build more football pitches, which is one of the things that could be done to improve Italian soccer. And as a similar for Celtic, so that's part of the vision as well. Number 40, as I say, anything that would benefit Italian soccer and or Celtic as much as possible. I'm sure there was a point I was going to make, but I've completely forgotten. But I think that was it. I'd also love to see how. I'd also love for people to share ideas on how Italian soccer and or Celtic can develop more young players. In Italy's case, especially more young local Italian players or national Italian players. So it goes back to developing the youth. How can Italian teams make sure that young players get opportunities in Serie A? I think the Italian government, if they can, should give football teams, or all those involved in football, tax exemptions. And one of the things that clubs could do in return, each Serie A club or even each Italian club, especially Serie A clubs, I suppose, in particular, could ensure they have at least 3 under 21, preferably Italian players, in their team. So that's helping young players to develop. And again, they could get tax exemptions and special mentions and acknowledgement and honours and things like that, and access to markets and all sorts of different things that would be beneficial to investors. So hopefully tax exemptions, access to markets, and appreciation, and things like enhanced PR will be, and things like that will all be attractive to investors, to potential investors, shareholders, sponsors and whatnot, to put money into Italian football, soccer and Celtic, and develop things like places and spaces for Italians and Celts to practice. Also, I'd love for people from the 8 Celtic countries. Most people would call them the 8 Celtic nations, but because of my use of alliterations, I call them the 8 Celtic countries. I dream for them to support Celtic and subscribe to the YouTube channel and things like that, and check out their videos to support them and benefit them, even those who are not into football, just for political reasons or whatnot. So Celtic could also be the representatives of Celts, the Celtic countries. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling. And there's a few other ideas I could have covered, but I'm going to wrap this up because it went on longer than I planned, as usual. I'm out. Peace and love.